Social Center, and it's the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey events. Every day or every season on the final day of the UEFA Champions League, Hits FM just puts together a viewing party, but more because there's going to be live music there. There's going to be the Jama session, quiz competition that happens before the main event itself, five-a-side football competition, pool, and look, so much else for you to go there and enjoy. It's happening live at the Aviation Social Center, the airport one, not the one in Medina or any other place in Accra, but the airport one, Aviation Social Center. That's where it is taking place. And then, of course, we've got the big conversation on the UEFA Champions League final itself, with Inter Milan taking on Paris Saint-Germain. We'll look ahead to that game. But we've also got a bit of boxing to discuss, plus the Spanish Grand Prix is upon us. Of course, you cannot have that conversation without looking back on what happened earlier in the week. And I'm talking about the Monte Carlo events, the Monaco Grand Prix. So those are the issues we'll be looking into on Sports Link today from now till 2 p.m. But even as you make your way to the Aviation Social Center, do well to inform a friend and don't go alone. As I've been saying all week, going with family doesn't count. Yes, you have to go with family, but invite a friend as well. Invite that business associate, that church member, let them come there and have a feel of the magic that is the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey. It is probably brought to you by Soccerbet, TCL, and DSTV. It's 21 minutes gone past 12, and this is where our conversation begins. And we're going to start with the Formula One conversation, right? I've told you, we'll look back on, we won't spend too much time on the Monaco Grand Prix because it's past and good. But there's just one issue that is sticking out like a sore thumb, the small matter of the two-stop rule, right? We'll try to separate the emotions from logic because almost everyone I've heard talk about it is not been excited about it. Well, to help me have that conversation in studio, Emmanuel Japan is here. Kwabena Poku, who's been running away from me for almost 5 years. Today, I have caught him, and I've caught him on my show. So he is also going to answer for his past crimes, but more importantly, speak to the issues relating to the Spanish Grand Prix. And then Nana Santiapia is also joining us on Zoom. Good afternoon, gentlemen, and welcome. First to you, Emmanuel Japan. How you doing? I think his microphone, but I cannot hear him. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I think it's better now.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. How you doing?
I'm good, Atsu.
Right. Initial impressions of the Monaco Grand Prix.
It was, I don't know, it's mixed, right? It depends on whose team you're on, right? So if I'm a Williams fan,
yeah,
it was a little boring, right? But it was also fun to watch in the sense that fun and boring I don't know if that makes sense, but fun and boring at the same time, where you saw what they did, where one driver was keeping everybody back so that one person could get to go pit without having to lose positions. So that was something that they had to keep up the entire over 70 laps. So it was fun trying to see how if Carlos could be able to keep it up for the entire run or not. But it also at a point it just got just boring, to the point where they were like almost a whole minute, away from the next set of cars in the front. So it was mixed, but it was not as exciting. Yeah.
All right. So Lando Norris took that one for McLaren with 25 points. Charles Leclerc also coming through in second place. Piastri also for McLaren, and then you had Verstappen in fourth place for Red Bull. So, Nana Santi, let me hear from you, right, on your views on that, particularly the two-stop rule, and whether or not the concerns about its impact on the excitement of it are exaggerated.
Well, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, the two-stop rule was, to me, very lousy. I mean, that is not what the rule was made to do, to give us a boring race. It was supposed to give us an exciting race.
Yeah.
But all the teams became smarter than the people who made the rules, and they interpreted it to suit themselves. It wasn't only the Williams doing the slow down thing. It started with the racing bulls and everybody, So the whole race became boring and a big procession. And I hope next year they change the rules again to make it more exciting.
Just if you can add a bit more detail to why everyone says it was boring, and especially the idea that the teams were able to circumvent the rule and sort of to do that to their advantage, essentially to render the very essence of its introduction null and void.
Normally, Monaco is a very slow circuit, very difficult to overtake because of the size of the track and the size of the modern F1 car. So we were expecting that if you had to stop 2 times, that will reshuffle the pack a little bit. But then the teams decided, no, we're not going to reshuffle. We're going to be following each other, and then we slow everybody down to allow the other person to come in front. And in the process, everybody bunched up, and it made nonsense of the race. Nobody's tires were degrading. Tire wear didn't matter. How fast you went didn't matter. And that is not motorsport. That is not Grand Prix racing. This weekend we'll see proper Grand Prix racing.
Right. We'll come to that. But going forward, though, so for me, the question I've been asking everyone is, okay, it was boring. So what now?
Looks like I'm frozen.
No, I can hear you. I'm just saying that. Oh, were you making a point? If you were making a point, you can conclude on that, and then I'll go ahead and ask the next question. Nana, can you hear me? Right, I think it was going off. Because for me, the rule makers aren't going to beat a retreat all of a sudden because of this.
I think it's not going to happen anymore. They're not going to bring this rule for next year. I promise you. Because all the teams fought against it. It was Max Verstappen was saying that he thought it was like Mario Kart. Like, that's how bad it was. So I don't think they'll implement this next year.
So there's no chance of it returning in a revised form. Not necessarily just a 2-stop rule, but something along those lines.
Yes, maybe something along those lines. Look, the thing is, like I think Nana was saying that the rules are too narrow, right? Too many curves. It's just too many things. Either they need to change the track itself, or come up with better rules for the next Monaco Grand Prix.
Okay, Nana, can you hear me? Hello, Nana, can you hear me? Okay, he has gone off, but I would want to. Nana is back.
Yes, I'm back.
Yes, is there a world where we see the 2-stop rule return next year? Maybe even if not in Monte Carlo, but on a slightly bigger track.
Oh, normally on these tracks, the teams determine how they're going to stop, because most of the time it doesn't make sense to. You have to use 2 different sets of tires.
Yeah.
Next year, there's going to be certainly a big change in Monaco in particular, because it is a premium place for Formula One. That is all where the politics and the wheeling and dealing goes. So they have to keep that race, but they have to make it a bit more interesting. And I'm sure they will.
All right. Let's see. For as far as I'm concerned, of course, this was bound to happen, given everything that you guys have explained. But I just am of the view that this won't be the last we're seeing of it, especially on tracks that may be slightly bigger than what we have in Monte Carlo. Now, with that out of the way, the final thing we'll talk about on the Monte Carlo Grand Prix, before we talk about the Spanish one, has to be the performance itself from the various winners, Charles Leclerc and Piastri and all of those guys who managed to get in there. McLaren's performance especially. Did anything surprise you?
No, nothing surprised me. The moment the grid was set after quali, nothing surprised me, because that's Monaco, right? The moment it's set, that's it. You're stuck there unless something happens, unless there's a crash, there's some delays, anything. So it didn't really surprise me. It's just that I could tell that Charles Leclerc really, really, really wanted to win, because he won there last year and he came second and was like super disappointed in himself. So he really wanted to be first this time. But I mean, that's the way it is, right? Yeah.
Nana, is there anything else Ferrari and Leclerc could have done to turn the tide in their favor?
Well, Ferrari has been struggling the whole season, and it's only in the last 2 races that they've shown glimpses of, improving. The race, if Charles Leclerc, if he was able to qualify on pole position, then maybe that would have changed the race, because that's where he grew up. He knows that track.
Yeah.
He used to cycle on it to go to school when he was young. He knows every nook and cranny of that circuit. So with the car that he had, I think that was the best he could achieve, because the Ferraris have not been strong this season at all.
All right, so let's now shift attention to what's happening from tomorrow, right, in Spain. Now, it looked like for the pre-tournament conversation, the pre-race conversation around the Monaco one was along the lines of Nana's final words on Charles Leclerc and the chances of Ferrari going into this one, which is the performances all season will reflect in what we'll see in Monaco. Is that trend set to continue, Nana, for the Spanish Grand Prix?
Oh, yes, it's about to continue. We've done 3 practice sessions, and you can see that already all the big boys are, they're doing better than what they did last year. We're going to have a very interesting race. It's going to be a 2-stopper. There's going to be a lot of overtakes. Last year, there were 55 overtakes. This year, we expect more. And any of the drivers who start from 1 to 6 can win the race. That is what we're looking forward to. It's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be the best race this year so far.
If looking at the nature of this one, so you do expect there will be at least 3 opportunities for tire changes and all of those little things that could swing the balance of this in favor of perhaps an outsider, especially if there are rains. Right, if there are rains on the tracks, are you not giving room for any eventuality of a surprise in this one?
This one is going to be a tough one, because the McLarens are like half a second faster than everybody else in practice. Except that there could be a lot of DNF, because this track has a 500 meters worth of drag race before the first corner. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fireworks. There's going to be accidents somewhere along before we get to the first corner.
Yeah.
So there's a big chance somebody from the back could win the race if the ones in the front collide and they go off.
Sneak in behind and then take advantage of
I like that you're mentioning that someone from the back could come to the front, because Williams, we're not doing well. We are not doing well in Spain this year. It's very bad for us. Interestingly, the last time Williams actually won a Grand Prix was in Spain in 2012. But for the 3 practices, we've been horrible. So hopefully we are, at least on a grade P11, P12 there, and hopefully something good happens in front and, brings us into the points. But yeah.
Well, all of the drivers will use at least 3 sets of tires, 3 different sets of tires, and that means you have minimum 4 or at least minimum 2 stops.
2 stops, yeah.
Yes.
Minimum, and you're saying that still this is going to follow the form guide, and it will be everything else that we've seen this season playing out, even if it rains.
Oh, no, not if it rains. We know the weather forecast. It's not going to rain. If it rains, it's a different story. But looking at the fact that it's going to be a dry race, And looking at what everybody has been doing, any of the top 5 teams could win this race, depending on safety car and accidents and all those things. Because the cars are very close, mind you. This is the closest the cars ever been since the rules were changed in 2021.
Yeah.
So anybody among the top 5, including Williams, can win this race.
I like that. Thank you. I hope that happens for us.
Of course you like it. Of course you like it. You're counting on that. But let's get some of the pre-race comments, right? What some of the drivers themselves have said. Max Verstappen is quoted to have said that he says, and I quote, "I guess it can go both ways, where it can be quite straightforward, or it can go completely crazy because of the safety cars coming into play or not, making the right calls." He said, "I think it will spice it up probably a bit more. Normally, when you have that one stop, once you have a good pit stop and everything is fine, then you drive to the end and you just have to stay focused and not hit the barrier. Maybe with a 2-stop, it can create something different." So this was in reaction to before the Monaco Grand Prix. This particular part. It can create something different. People gambling, guessing when the right time is to box, and hopefully it will spice it up a bit more. Unfortunately, none of that happened going into that race. But his views on Sunday's race is pretty much valid. In terms of your expectations of someone like Verstappen, it's not been a great performance from him from the Monaco Grand Prix. I think all year he himself would wish that he could have accomplished more. Is this a race where he begins to at least redeem himself?
Unfortunately, no. Well, maybe Nana has a response for that, but I don't think he will probably come third in this one. Yes, because the McLaren boys are not playing this on this track. Yeah.
And the Mercedes are not slow either. The Mercedes they are like back. So Max Max will be struggling with Lewis Hamilton for 5th and 4th position. That is how I see it.
So I was being generous then.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll come to Nana first. You give me your top 5, and then we'll close it with Nana's top 5 as well.
My top 5: Oscar, Lando, Charles, Verstappen, and possibly Hamilton.
Oscar number 1.
Oscar number 1. Lando 2.
Number 2.
Leclerc 3. Verstappen
number 4.
Yes.
Hamilton
5.
Nana, your top 5 as well.
I agree with him perfectly.
So you guys are not giving room for any surprise, nothing at all.
If all things being equal, but if Max starts next to Piastri, the chances are that there will be a collision.
Yes.
There will be an accident somehow, because those two guys are going for it, But on the other hand, Max, if you look at Lando and Piastri, they will be in front, and I don't think anybody can challenge them. So we're waiting for people like Lewis Hamilton to pick up the pieces when all those people in the front are busy misbehaving and throwing themselves out.
So unlike the Monaco Grand Prix, you guys expect that in Barcelona, Piastri is going to win this one. Norris in second place, Charles Leclerc number 3, Verstappen, and then Hamilton.
But Charles Leclerc is not giving the Mercedes. George Russell can beat the Ferraris.
Yes.
We can't discount George Russell.
So
he's the odd one in the situation. He can do anything.
So if Russell breaks through, where does Leclerc finish? Like in the events where he does as well as you suspect is possible, where does Leclerc finish?
Leclerc will then finish 5th and Hamilton 6th.
I actually agree with that. Yes.
I see where this is coming from. But gentlemen, your final words ahead of this one. Any particular thing that you would want to touch on that we have not mentioned ahead of tomorrow's Grand Prix, and then we call it a wrap.
Yes. We want people to come to the Heritage Bar in ANC Corner. Lights out is at 1 o'clock, so they should get there anytime after 11 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, you guys have a viewing party there?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. That's where we are this weekend.
And Nana Poku did not invite me. Kwabena Poku did not invite me. Okay.
Oh, Kabla Pokuri is hiding somewhere, somewhere, and he'll be back. He'll be back next week. He'll invite
the
you.
Invitation, he doesn't need to be in Accra here to send that invitation or to just text me to challenge. Would they do that thing this time? Would they Heritage Craft? So make people pull up.
He's in the Ferrari shop in the US.
He should advise himself. Any final words, and then we.
Yeah, I mean, yes, people come to the Heritage Brewery. It might not be a great race for Williams tomorrow, but still come, show up. There's Mercedes, there's Ferrari, there's McLaren, and hopefully Verstappen, who is probably suffering from a back pain for carrying the Red Bull team, will show up and at least be in the top 5. Yes,
right. I'm sure he'll get some painkillers.
Yes,
but as for carrying the team, he will do it for a while. Yeah, that's our conversation on the Spanish Grand Prix happening in Barcelona tomorrow. Tomorrow, the 1st of May. I want the range to fall. And heavily, just so we get a few more surprises. I don't like this whole idea of the status quo has to remain the same, and you can almost predict. You can tell the top 5 who are going to. So Leclerc, Piastri, Lando Norris, Verstappen, and then Lewis Hamilton. Number 5. I don't want that. So I want the race to fall tomorrow. I want a bit of chaos.
Then there'll be balance tomorrow on the track.
Well, it's part of the sport. I mean, that is the parts that I actually enjoy. As long as there are no serious injuries sustained by anyone.
Yes.
But that's the part that I enjoy. But gentlemen, thank you so much for helping us on the conversation this afternoon. If you're listening to us tomorrow, make your way to the Heritage Craft Brewery and enjoy with the guys. And as we all see what becomes of it, whether or not the status quo will be maintained or the range will bring me and to everyone who is anti-establishment some excitement from that. But next, we're going to talk about the Black Stars of Ghana who are in action against the Trinidad and Tobago. I need to check whether or not the score has changed, because last I did 3-0 now. Okay, we'll do that in a moment. This is Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Stay tuned. Live on Joy 99.7 FM. This is Sports Link. My name is Victor Atsu Tamakloe. Just gone by, we looked ahead to the Formula One Grand Prix, the event happening in Barcelona tomorrow, the Spanish Grand Prix, and all the issues to look at. The much flocked, much criticized two-stop rule that was introduced in Monaco, and what my gentleman thought of it. So yeah, that is done and dusted. Now though, we're gonna have a conversation about the Black Stars of Ghana, who are on a redemption mission, and so far it's been a fantastic start. They are leading by 3-0 against Trinidad and Tobago. Even better, 2 players have scored their debut goals for the Black Stars of Ghana. Razak Simpson, who was at the heart of a lot of scrutiny on Wednesday following his not so impressive performance, has starred in today's game. He scored a fantastic header to double Ghana's lead after Jordan Ayew also scoring a goal that you wouldn't often see him score, scoring with his left foot and from outside the penalty box. Jordan opening the scoring before another new boy, Mohamed Husseini. This one, Ademu Benin Abdul Karim. He'll be very proud of Mohamed Husseini's goal. He's someone who's had a lot of faith in the young man for years now. And for those of you who watch Sports Zone on Monday nights, you must have seen Karim speak about him in glowing terms on a show or two. So yeah, that's what's been happening in the United Kingdom. With me to try to make sense of the Black Stars' performance in the tournament are my good friend who also celebrated his birthday last week, and my fufu partner whenever we go to Kumasi, Michael Akomia Messiah. Bro, Charlie Albi. Bernard, please come and check Messiah's lines for me. I think he's on now.
Yeah, can you clearly hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, and I can see you in your Kumasi Asante Kotoko jersey. Fantastic. The only issue is that you are not in Accra to bring it to the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey at the Aviation Social Center. But we know more. I'm sure you will by your Kotoko.
I'll pass through one of these days.
Definitely, most definitely. Maybe next season, the final of the Champions League, we can.
Have you there.
Oh yeah. You have seen the Black Stars play. You have seen the reaction in this game. What did you make of the lineup itself, right? Were you surprised by Otuado's decision to stick with Razak Simpson, who it would have been very easy for any other coach to drop him, given the performance that we saw in midweek? Were you surprised that Otuado retained him?
First of all, a very good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners. I think it was the right thing to do, and it was not surprising to see him start again, especially looking at the kind of performances Razak Simpson has showcased since he joined the Black Stars. You could identify that performance the other time as a blip in form, where he made several mistakes, and I believe it was due to the fact that there was no cohesion in that particular three-back system. It was the first time he was also playing with the likes of Stefan Ambrosius at the back line and some of the other guys. So it was a new backline that was formed, and I think it would have taken time for him to adjust to how they are supposed to play in the long run. But giving him another opportunity this time around has actually boosted his confidence, and it has really worked magic for him, where he has been able to score his debut goal for the Ghana Black Stars. I'm happy for him, but I think Otuado made the right choice. I was also expecting Kwame Poku to also start in this game, but I think Otuado needs results. So I don't know the kind of ideologies and discussions that went into the selection of these players for this game against Trinidad and Tobago. They are winning though, but I think another player they could have given another chance to is to look at Kamara Adene and Kwame Poku to help boost their confidence.
Sicho is also on the line. Sicho, good afternoon, and thank you for taking time off your busy schedule to help us on the show this afternoon. I was just speaking to Michael Akomia about the decision to keep faith with Razak Simpson. Surely you didn't see that coming, did you?
Well, first of all, I'm not very busy now. I'm just chilled. So, you have to thank me for that. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, just chilling. Yeah.
I'm just chilling. So if you see me turn my head to mine right, it's simply because I'm still having a glance at the game.
Yeah.
And watching Roland Garros. I just saw Yannick Sinner dispatch. There's some watching there, and I'm watching the Black Stars game as well. So yeah, but yeah, I think that Razak Simpson, I think is somebody Otuado really likes, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that in that to be fair to him, he wasn't great in that first half, but in the second half he put things together. He put himself together. It was a lot better. It was a bit more composed. And I think those are traits managers do pick, right? Are you going to succumb to that difficult period, or you're going to pick yourself up and get things right? And I think in the end, the second half performance for me was decent. So Otto wants to keep faith in him. I think Otto is building a team around some players and is looking to be assured of what those players can give him. And again, just as I joined, Akomia making a very good point that Otuado himself needs results. So he was going to go with some players he trusts a lot more. And it's Trinidad and Tobago. And the thing about Razak Simpson is, let's be honest, when he sees a lot of the ball and is not under pressure, he's an asset. because he can carry the ball from defense well. He can pass from the back quite well. He can switch the diagonal balls quite well. And against Trinidad and Tobago, coach knows that he's not necessarily going to have to do a lot of defending. So he can count on his ball progressing, his ball passing, and ball carrying. And that is what we've seen in this game. And he also did score that second goal. So, yeah, I think Otuado will be happy with the decision that he's made on the boy.
And Mohamed Husseini Gaddafi as well. Karim's good friend Mohamed Husseini scoring on his
Karim's discovery.
Yes, scoring on his debut for the Black Stars of Ghana. Another high point in there. And Sisha, I'll come back to you in a moment. But Michael, who for you in this game has been the biggest winner?
I think two players, Caleb Yuenchi and Bonsuba.
Right.
This is due to the fact that we don't have as many as left-footed players that we use at the right wing position. And I think we are also struggling to get a right back. We've seen Tariq Lamptey, we've seen Denis Odoi, we've seen some other key players coming, but none of them has been able to stamp his authority on that particular position. And we keep on bringing in new players to come and occupy the right back position. So when you watch Caleb Yuenchi, you'll be so much happy that at long last, you might be having a player who is showing glimpses of quality from that particular position. I know naturally he plays in other positions, but I think in the Black Stars at the right back position, he has been solid enough going forward, defending, trying to link up play, connecting with the midfielders.
So he's played as a right back today as well.
Yes,
he's
actually played at the right back today. Yes,
right.
And he's doing so well, and I'm so happy for him because we are struggling to get someone for that particular position. I think in possession, he's solid due to his ability to retain possession and being press resistant. So that kind of quality helps us in the build-up. And his layoffs has been spot on, especially looking at the third goal, how he laid off this pass to Jordan Ayew before he went to Mohamed Husseini to finish up that particular goal. Defending too, he has also been there, making sure that he makes the position. So then Bonsuba, I think cutting in his pace, recovery, everything has been point. It looks like he's someone who really wants the position. And I think Fatau Ishaku, the likes of Mohamed Kudus, most of these guys who has been used as right wingers, left-footed right wingers in games, should look out for that particular guy. There's so much power, there's so much pace, there's so much quality in dribbling, especially in 1v1. Decision making is up there. And I think you only need to be consistent at his club side, also be consistent for the Black Stars. And I think we have a player on our hands. I'm so impressed with him, the kind of performances he has shown. And he's showing so much hunger, the way he comes back to defend and try to put on a very good show with the kind of attitude he's putting in this particular game. I'm happy for him. From against Nigeria, he was our brightest spot up front. Then against Trinidad and Tobago, he's also doing the same things. I think the sky is his limit, and we are really going to see much more of him from the Black Stars.
Let's extend this power rankings, if you like, of Otuado's men for today. So you've spoken at length about Razak Simpson, about Husseini Mohammed. You've spoken about Christopher Barbunsu, and then Caleb Yuenchi. Now, there are others who are also new to the team, if you like. Stephen Ambrosius has been away for about 3 years, about 2 years. Now he's back in the team. The game against Nigeria, we saw a very uncomfortable performance from him. How has he fared today? And would you, on the evidence of what you've seen of Ambrosius, say that he's playing his way back into the team?
I actually think he has not been, let me say, exceptionally good, especially looking at the first game. He was all over the place. He was struggling. But I also give him the benefit of the doubt as to how I gave Razak the same kind of excuse, especially there was no cohesion at the back line. It was the first time they were playing together. I love his stature. I love how he tackles, but I think he's too clumsy, to be very honest. I think he's clumsy. And he needs to be very careful when going into tackles, and he needs to be very calm on the ball, especially when we are in possession. Against Nigeria, he was so quick to move the ball on. There were certain moments you expect him to calm down, try and find another player and give a pass, and he was all over the place. And there was even, I think, a crash between him and Benjamin Asari at some point in time in the game.
Yeah.
It was so clumsy. But I think with this game against Trinidad and Tobago, he has been there, he has been calm. Let me say the opponent has also played a very good role. Or maybe he's trying to also build a cohesion with Razak Simpson after the second half against Nigeria and Ghana. I like him though, but I think going forward, being a starter for the national team, there's a lot more work he has to do to stamp his authority on the game as Black Stars centre back with the level of calmness and quality you need from your centre back.
One of the players who was introduced for this one, Lawrence Ajekum, has just scored a 4th for the Black Stars of Ghana. So it's Ghana 4, Trinidad and Tobago 0. So that's the current state of affairs in the United Kingdom, where Ghana are taking on Trinidad and Tobago at the G-Tech Community Stadium in Brentford. I think some 18 years ago, when the Black Stars played at the same venue, we beat Nigeria by 4-1 in that game. So not surprised that we're scoring 4 again this time, only against a different opposition. But Sichu, give me your own power rankings of the players that have caught your attention in today's game. If you can, the dynamics around Stefan Ambrosius, Caleb Irenchi, obviously impressing a lot of people, Lawrence Ajekum, Ibrahim Suleimana, the Atalanta midfielder, Hussein Mohammed, what you've seen of him, and then Christopher Babunsu as well as Francis Abu.
Yeah, I think for some of them we've seen them already around the team, so we knew what to expect. It's been a while since we saw Ambrosius, and to be fair, in that first game, especially in the first half, everybody struggled in the game.
Yeah.
Even the more experienced, Jordan Ayew struggled in the game. Salas hasn't played enough football. He struggled. Even Bonsuba, we didn't see enough of him. Kwame Poku struggled. Like, the entire team struggled.
Yeah.
And so Ambrosius, Razak Simpson, Gideon Mensah, everybody who started that game and played that game is not be exempted, right? Or can be pinpointed to say that only few of them struggled. I thought the entire team looked under some bit of pressure and uncertainty, lack of cohesion and telepathy. So they struggled. In the second half, there was a lot better for everybody as well. And we've seen that continue into the first half and now into the second half of this game. I thought Ambrosius was, as Akumia said, was all over the place a little bit. Didn't look exactly very comfortable in that 3-back system at the start. But it was when Aaron Issel went off to that injury and the team had to reshape that I thought got the best out of him and even Razak Simpson. And he's looked decent when he's played today. So yeah, I think that and to be in all honesty, Ambrosius wouldn't be first, second, or third choice centre back for the Black Stars when everybody's fit and ready. We've got Jiku, we've got Salisu, we've got if Edu returns to full fitness, it's one of those that is very highly rated. So if you have a player like Ambrosius, Mumin as well, Mumin. So if you've got a player like Ambrosius lurking around, it's a very decent option to have when you know that most often you're going to have the players I've mentioned already, being ahead of him in that pecking order. And he can be punching or knocking on the coach's door that you should have a look in him. So it's decent to have him as well as Simpson. I think that I've been particularly impressed with Irenchi. Because he looks assured on the ball. Defensively, he's strong. And when he gets into offensive position, he's not confused. And when you look at the goal that Hussein scored, Irenchi saw that Jordan Ayew had stopped his run to offer him an option on the edge of the box. How many times have we not seen fullbacks in the Black Stars cross the ball for crossing sake? But what he did was to pick Jordan out with a cutback. And Jordan laid it off to Hussein, who finished off the ball really well. That takes me to Hussein as well, who has also looked like he doesn't look like a new player in the setup. He looks at home, he looks comfortable. And the more impressive thing about him for me is he's not trying to force the issue. He's not trying to overly impress anybody. He's keeping it simple. He's making the runs. He's pressing when he has to. He's dropping in to help midfielders. He's doing the very basic thing that you would have to look at him. You have to watch the game and pick him out to spot him. But I'm sure the coaches, having seen his involvement in the game, would identify the strength that he's possessed and he's starting off with a good goal. Christopher Bonsuba, everybody, all the average Ghanaian fan is excited about him because his difference from what we've seen recently, with our wingers not crossing the ball in time, with our wingers not being assured with dribbles, with our wingers shooting when they don't have to shoot, with our wingers not taking on players. But he's doing all of it, bits and pieces, and coming together well. He's crossing when he has to cross. When he takes on plays, he's assured. He tracks back well to help in defending. So he's a breath of fresh air, and long may that continue. If he's able to replicate a lot more of that in his club side, stays fit, I think we've got a player on our hand. He's a very different kind of player to Nyama and Isaaku, right? But I think that he's beginning to look like he could be a more productive winger.
More direct.
He's for me more like more direct and more productive. Like he's crossing well, he's passing well. When he shoots, it's more on target and all of that. So it looks like he can be a lot more productive than what we've had on our hand with maybe Isaaku and Nyama. But like I said, Isaaku and Nyama are two different players. Depending upon how the coach wants to play, they would also come in handy. But with the way the coach is playing today and in the other day, Christopher Bonsuba has been a perfect fit for that system. As for Abu Francis, I've said it. He's one I like in the middle of the park as well. Keeps it tidy and simple. Looks like he's intelligent enough to combine with whoever the manager will pick to sit around him. So all around, I think it's been a very good exercise for Otoado and all Ghanaians to have some faith in what lies ahead for the Black Stars. The new faces have been refreshing. The style of play has been good. But look, when you play in a good pitch as we are playing, the goals that the boys are scoring, they were playing in Ghana, they would have to take an extra touch. They have to take 2 touches before they shoot. But the pitch is so good. When you lay off the pass, it's been brilliant. So I've enjoyed the exercise. So far, so good.
Okay. The next leg of the conversation will be about how much value we can take out of today's performance and even the second half against Nigeria, because a lot of people seem to have enjoyed it. But before that, though, Sisho, for someone who hasn't watched the Black Stars play today, just describe the patterns and what you've seen the Black Stars attempt to do, right? Because yesterday on Game Live, I think we were talking about the inconsistencies in how the team plays, and it looks like for every opponent, the approach is different. What sort of Black Stars have we seen today, and what has Otoado tried to do with the lineup he put out?
Yeah, so what we've seen with the Black Stars, if anybody saw the second half of the Nigerian game, and that's what has impressed me, it's been almost like a continuation of how we ended the Nigerian game today, this game against Trinidad and Tobago. Right. So what he's done is played a 4-2-3-1 system, if you like. So you see Ambrosius and Simpson partnering in centre back, Gideon Mensah and Urenchi playing as the fullbacks. We've seen Francis Abu and then Ibrahim Suleiman in the middle of the park, and then Ejekum right in front of that holding block. Jordan Ayew led the line almost as a free roll force line kind of thing, and we've seen Hussein and then Bonsuba flanking him. So it's a 4-2-3-1 system. But what has been impressive is because Ghana has seen a lot of the ball, he has encouraged a lot of our fullbacks to push high up the pitch. So our fullback pushing high up the pitch has also allowed Bonsuba and Hussein to stay in those wide areas and occupy those areas very wide. But interestingly, we've seen almost as if Lawrence Ejekum is playing, when we are building up, it's almost as if Lawrence Ejekum is playing ahead of Jordan a little bit, because Jordan has often dropped to come and receive the ball. And when Jordan has dropped, there are plenty of movements around him. So when Jordan drops to receive the ball to combine, Lawrence Ejekum is running to get into the space in behind Jordan. We've seen Fusaini coming short and Khalid Bonsumba not coming short but hugging the line. So that's the difference. While Fusaini comes into the half space, Bonsumba has stayed wider, and Lawrence Ejekum has pushed further up the pitch and allowed Jordan to operate in that space where he can combine with, Francis Abu and Ibrahim Suleimana. And our fullbacks has also enjoyed a lot of space down the flank because we've seen a lot of the ball. Trinidad and Tobago have been kept in their own half, and the spaces between the players have been somewhat close and tight. So we've not had to rely on the long balls. We've not had to rely on hitting the ball long to our wide players. We've had to rely on combinations in and around the middle, in the middle of the park, and that has also been aided by the movement and the accessibility of Jordan Ayew, making himself always, or the availability of Jordan Ayew, making himself available together with Ibrahim Suleimana, Lawrence Ejekum, and then Francis Abu. So it's almost like we are playing with 4 midfielders when Jordan drops in, and then Fusaini comes in short. Lawrence Ejekum makes the run in behind him, and it's been intricate so far, brilliant to watch. But when we have lost the ball, it's been refreshing to see because of how high we've been able to push ourselves. When we have lost the ball, we are almost there to win it back. So we've not necessarily had to deal with counter-attack. As soon as the ball is lost, we have enough bodies to recover the ball. So I think Otoado and his technical team have tried a couple of things with the team. It's looking good. But again, it's a friendly game. It's Trinidad and Tobago. We want to see a lot more of that. But what I'm happy about is the signs we saw in the Nigerian game second half is what has continued into the first half of the Trinidad and Tobago, which means it's a clear coaching plan which is manifesting itself.
Okay. I'll come to Akomia, but you hold it there for me. When I come back to you, we would look at how much value can we extract from this performance. Because people will be quick to say that it is also Trinidad and Tobago. But the truth is that we have played in the past 2 years or so, the very teams who we have struggled against are of a similar profile and of a similar standing. Akomia, you have watched the game.
Yes.
Just paint a picture of what you have seen the team attempt to do and your understanding of Otuado's tactical disposition today.
I think, first of all, Ghanaians are used to the 4-5-1 formation where we play with a lone striker for quite some time now. So the absence of Asamoah Gyan has actually raised a lot of questions as to who was going to fit into that system and help us try and win games. But in the long run, we've tried the 3-back system, we've tried the 4-2-3-1, we've tried the 4-4-2. We've tried various means to try and dominate games and win, especially not even trying to find a specific position for one of our best players in the shape of Mohamed Kudus, which became a talk of town, and a lot of people were discussing he should play as a right winger, as a number 10, all of these things. But I think looking at the current Black Star team, there's a clear indication of a team that has been transformed by new faces here and there, and proper balance within the middle of the pack, and even trying to get the best out of our known players. So even in the qualifiers where we have Thomas Partey and the likes in the middle of the pack, we literally see formations like 4-1-4-1. We could see things like 4-2-3-1, especially in different variations where Mohamed Kudus could play as a number 8 or even normally come into the number 10 position or even drift wide to try and create for us. But to be specific with the Unity Cup and what I have seen, even going forward, this is what we are going to see. Then I think Ghana will be sticking more with the 4-3-3 or even the 4-4-2, looking at the quality of wingers we have now and the fullbacks we have. I think when you have good fullbacks and good wingers, you love to play through them, especially through the wings, not to put so much pressure in the middle of the pack. So whenever you have Caleb Yonchi, Monsuba, on the other hand side, especially in this game with Mohamed Fousseni and Gideon Mensah, most of these passes from the centre backs or even the defensive midfielders are trying to find them on a run. When our strikers or our attackers even come within, try to overcrowd the middle of the pack and leave spaces in the width. So looking at Bonsuba and what Fousseni is doing, I think this is what we are going to see a lot from the Black Stars, trying to play with a lot of width, trying to go wide, especially through build-ups and creating enough chances. I think they are not going to be stuck in the middle of the pack and be relying on players in the middle of the pack to create more chances for us in the long run. We've always been going to Thomas Partey or even looking at players like Majid Ashbery to create magic for us, or even Mohamed Kudus to create magic for us. Sometimes we even expect Jordan to drop as the number 10 to create chances for us. But in the 2 games I've watched, I think our fullbacks and wingers are giving us a different kind of vibe when it comes to creating chances, dominating games, and making sure that we win games at the end of the day.
Okay. Now, Akomia, you have so let me remind you, right, before I come to Akomia, that the activities have already started at the Aviation Social Center. I'm told the pool, the football 5-a-side, and table tennis and all of those other competitions have started at the Aviation Social Center. So do well to make your way, go there with the kids, the family, your business associates, go there with your friends and go have fun as we build up to the quiz, which is somewhere around 5 p.m. Yeah, the quiz is like the final activity before the Champions League final itself kicks off. And then we'll have that amazing game of football. We'll be on live commentary. We'll be on Comms Duty for that one between Inter Milan and PSG. So pass by the Aviation Social Center for the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey event. But Akomia, final word on the Black Stars conversation. What for you are the biggest takeaways from this, and how much credit do the Black Stars get out of this performance against the Trinidad and Tobago? So the first one is the latter question that I asked, how much credit they get out of this, but also what have you learned from this international window, the 2 games that we have played? What has Otuado take out of the 2 games?
I think, first of all, when I talk about the lessons, there are two things I actually take out of this. I think Otuado is adapting to different styles, adapting to different kind of quality, and it's a good sign, especially not sticking with the old guns. And need something refreshing within that team. I think he has tried to do one or two things to give people the opportunity. And I think the second one I'll talk about is he has actually giving a lot of players the opportunity or the chance to showcase Ghanaians what they have. And I think it's one of the things I have to say he has really done well. You look at Husseini, you look at Bonsuba, you look at most of these guys. I've seen coaches go into set games and they still play the old guys. I've seen coaches go into set games and they still play people who they already know. The first game, we even saw it with Salah starting this particular game. And I was really angry at some point in time. But I think he has done so well in giving them and opening them up, especially for Ghanaians to know them and see them. So these two things, I think it is something that we could pick up one way or the other. But going forward, I think actually we need to ascertain what kind of players that will give us the right balance, not necessarily about the names, but people who will be ready to die for the nation, because Ghanaians understand what it means to have talent and at the same time what it means to have the passion to wear the national team jersey.
Yeah.
And this is where most of the time we draw the line that most of these players are talented, but in the long run, people feel that they are not passionate or hungry enough to do something for the nation. And it has raised a lot of questions here and there. But I believe we need to look at players who are not only talented to play for this team, but players who are ready to give their all. Because that is what Ghanaians are actually looking for. That is what Ghanaians want. Even if you are not talented and you die on the pitch for them, they are ready to support you any day, anytime. And I think this is where we need to draw the line, in as much as we are seeing a lot of talented players coming into this particular team. But I think the technical directors and the technical team, Desmond Ofer, Otuado, they've really done a massive job at this particular tour. They will know who to add, especially going into the September international break. We already have the spine of the team. We already know Jiku, we already know the likes of Atizigi, we already know Mohamed Kudus. These guys are already, they have Trump Semenyo. We know we have the spine. But I think having this particular crop of players to choose from, or pool to choose from, will give you a lot of headache. And I think the technical team have actually also put those who are already the span of the team on their toes, because these guys are displaying such a quality over there, which they can give you a solid competition whenever they come back to the national team in September. You look at Bonsuba and you're in Eskunyama, you'll be asking yourself a lot of questions. When you look at Caleb Iwechi and you are Tarek Lamptey, you'll be asking yourself a lot of questions. You need to look at Francis Abu, and when you are Elisha, you start questioning yourself. You need to look at Razak Simpson, and when you are Jiku, you start asking yourself questions. You need to look at Brandon Thomas, and you need to ask yourself a lot of questions as Antoine Semenyo. You can be playing so well at your club side, but for the national team, these guys have delivered. They've shown that they can play it. They've shown that they can get results, and that is what they are doing, including Lawrence Adekum and his guys. So if you're part of the core team that we have now, that you did not join up this particular squad, you have a lot of thinking and worrying to do. Then you need to pray that these guys will lose for when the season begins or something happens to them. Because in the national team jerseys, some of them, they have actually made a case for themselves.
Before I go to Sisho though, your line of thoughts, it got me thinking. So, okay, for the centre backs, we know there is an established order. If they are not injured, Salisu, Jiku, Momin, they are the top three. Then there's Joseph as well before his injury. The right position, be it right wing back or right back, Tarek Lamptey hasn't played football for God knows how long because he's been injured. Seydou Alidu, the same. But we have now seen Yurinchi, who has been brilliant all season, and in 2 games or a game and a half has perhaps shown us that he's a good fit for that role. In September, does he usurp and jump the queue in becoming the first choice because the first 2, Alidu and Tariq, have not been available for that long, and he actually has a body of work to back it? Or does Otuado revert to the players who are now returning to injury?
I think he has already made a case for himself in the Black Stars that he's going to start ahead of them.
So he starts.
The only stumbling block is going to be his form before the September international break at the club side.
Okay, now to the midfield options. As for Partey, he's an outlier. But do you decide that when Elisha Uso is available, right, who partners Partey in that midfield? Is it Elisha Uso?
I think for now I'll go with Ibrahim Sulemana.
Ibrahim Sulemana. Okay.
Yes.
Final one. The right wing, right forward position. The two players who often have had those opportunities have been injured for some time now. They both did their ACLs, right? Fatau Isaku and then Enes Nuyama. What the young man, Christopher Babunsu, has done, do these two games move the needle for him? Also because, just like Irenchi, he has a whole season of brilliant performances behind him, and now two really good performances in the Black Stars.
I'll go with Bonsuba.
You go with Bonsuba as your option on that right side?
Yes.
Okay. And because Kudus is not going to be away forever, at least unlike Isaku and all of those other boys, he has actually been fit. He has actually been playing at both club level and international team. Has Bonsuba done enough over the two games to force a rethink of how Otuado? And Sicho, I'll come to you with this one. Sicho, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes. In terms of the players who have played their way into... I think someone's microphone is on. Right. Thank you very much. In terms of the players who have played their way into Otuado's plans, and when I say his plans, he's starting 18 and possibly the starting lineup. These two games that we have seen from Christopher Bonsuba, does it move the needle in terms of that right wing or right forward position when it's a back four with an actual winger there?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it's been a very strong case for himself in claiming that position. I hear you mentioning Fatah Isaako and Niyama, but I think even one of the biggest players to come under pressure from Bonsuba's performance over the two games for me is Inaki Williams, because when Inaki Williams has played, that is where he's played, and he hasn't necessarily grabbed up spots for himself. We know Inaki Williams down the middle is not necessarily what we think. It doesn't what we expect him to.
Yeah.
So I think Inaki Williams is another player who could also suffer from Bonsuba's emergence. But look, it's still a long way from now. So like we have said, the season will start, their performances will tell, their form, injuries and whatever. But as it stands, I think that as a winger, he probably is a better fit for this system than any of the players that we are mentioning. Yeah.
Okay, let's stay on the issue of the players. Just as I was asking Akomia, so we've seen the UNG progress. It has to be tied to something, right? We need to attach a certain value to it. And in the grand scheme of affairs, where he stands in the rankings of the players who play in that position, right wing back, right back. Again, we have seen that the previously two players in that position have all not been available for the longest time, haven't played competitive games at both club or international level. Is this sufficient basis to expect that now Otto seriously considers introducing him as, if not the first choice, but a strong candidate for that position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the more reasons why Otto started him today and has kept him on for this long, because his cameo in the Nigerian game was an eyebrow raiser. It raised those eyebrows like, okay, we've got a player at hand. So Otto and the team would be like, let's try him again and be sure what he's really made of in this team. And he's only gone on and even done better than he did in the Nigerian game. So surely it's and to be honest, UNG is different from Alidu and it's different from Tariq. Yeah. Tariq is different from Alidu. So he depending upon how the coach wants to play, UNG could be the guy. But even what's more impressive for UNG is if Alidu is the defensive right back and Tariq is the offensive right back, Rinchi is the balance between the two. And most often than not, coaches would prefer the balance between attacking and defense because he's decent when defending and he's explosive when attacking as well, or he is a threat when attacking as well. So I think UNC's 2 games or a game and a half that we've seen in the last couple of days made a really, really big case for himself and could be very much ahead of Tariq and Ali Stadium.
Okay. Sincho, wrap it up for me on what the major lessons for you are in terms of the Black Stars is concerned from the 2 games, be it from the tactical standpoint, player selection, how the team plays, even Otto's management of the absentees and the FA's handling of the games and everything. Box it up for me.
First thing is, Jordan Ayew is crucial to this team.
Okay.
There are things about his game that can be annoying. I think sometimes his hold-up play, he doesn't release the ball on time and all, but everything attacking-wise pretty much goes through him. His dead ball deliveries are special. He can score, he can create, as we've seen over the 2 games. So yeah, I think Jordan Ayew has again shown that he's an important part of the team. And what is also evident is that Ghana doesn't lack quality. So when people talk about the team has no quality,
we are not Barcelona and Real Madrid. But we are Ghana.
We are Ghana.
We are Ghana.
The team has quality and the team has options. So there is no fear for the coaches not to trust these young emerging footballers who can go on and deliver the goods for us. So for me, I think the lesson that I've been learned is Jordan Ayew is important to the team, and the team is so young and it's got quality all over. And so yeah, let's see what Otto has got. I've even seen Abdelaziz come into the game. He's almost trying to, curl one into the far corner, deflected it to the arms of the goalkeeper. Yeah, so the options are there. So Otto has got his work cut out for him, and let's see what he makes of the team and what he does with the team going into the next international window.
All right. Thank you very much, Sicho. But you stay on for me. We're going to have the Champions League conversation in a moment. But Samuel Ekoamoisi has also joined us in the studio. He is a bit late, and as punishment, he's not going to talk about the whole spectrum of issues that we discussed relating to the Black Stars. But, Sammy, you've also seen the team across the 2 games against Nigeria first, and then earlier today against the Trinidad and Tobago. Especially the first half and even the early parts of that second half. What have you made of the team's performance?
I think it's much better today compared to what we saw against Nigeria. I'm much impressed about how the debutant players has been able to perform, especially Fuseni getting a goal. Razak is not the first time getting a goal, and also Lawrence Ejikum also getting a goal. I think in all, I've been saying that every player, deserve a fair chance, and I think Otuado prior to the game against Nigeria and then Trinidad and Tobago, he made mention that he has to give some players some chance, and of course he gave them the chance, and then of course they've been able to cement on their chance. So for me, I think that the game against Nigeria, really we should have won that game, especially in the second half. The first half, we all agree, we were very poor. The second half, I believe that we came on early and we improved the performance, and those players that improved the performance, like Jurenchi, like Christopher Bonsuba, like you guys have discussed, they started today, and of course we could see that at least the team is much better. Maybe somebody can also argue that the opposition also that we are playing against, but I think in all it is much better compared to what we saw against Nigeria, both in the second half, both in the first half and in the second half. And so I'm much impressed. My only worry is that, of course, I've heard a lot of people arguing about it and all that. My only disappointment is that I believe that this should have been a room for our preparation ahead of the September back-to-back games against Chad and then also Mali. And so I was expecting that at least, of course, I've earlier on mentioned that players deserve every chance, but I was expecting that at least some key players should be also give that room for them to also come and also join this team, because all this preparation is part of those 2 games and also in October. But I believe that aside that, from what we've seen today and then on Wednesday, I think I'm quite impressed. At least the new players that came into the team, they were able to leave a mark. And like what Ade said, he's going to give every player the chance. Of course, he's done it. I don't know about Aziz, whether he's been able to play today, because so many questions.
Come on.
he's come on into the game. I mean, fair, but I believe that generally it's much better than what we saw against Nigeria, and I hope that moving forward into the game against Chad and then Mali in September, at least we could see that those preparatory games that we had, it's giving us the fruits that we are all craving for.
All right, time for us to get into the UEFA Champions League conversation. You're live on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Victor Atsu Tamakloe. Today, I've got Sichupe Achim Philip, Michael Akomia Messiah, and then Samuel Ekwa Amoisi as my wingman. We're done with the Black Stars of Ghana. The next 25 minutes, we will be talking about the UEFA Champions League.
As a team, not with the strong of a real team, and it's going to be difficult and at the same time easy to do when you work with Luis Campos or Nasser Al-Khelaifi, trying to get new players. And in that moment, I think we are achieving things that we even could dream, but at the same time, it's we need to go step by step and try to get that match like the Champions League final as a goal. I try to win it.
What would it mean for this club to win a first Champions League, and for the city and for the fans? You've won it before.
Yeah,
so.
A big city like Paris, and unbelievable supporters like Paris Saint-Germain supporters. All they deserve to win a Champions League. I don't know if it's going to be that year. I hope that. And from the first day, we speak about making history in Paris. Making history in Paris, it means to win that Champions League. I don't know if we are able to do that, but we are going to try.
Di differente a 2 anni fa, secondo me.
In terms of 2 years ago, compared with that,
È nella preparazione,
what we learned from Istanbul was our preparation in terms of how to approach the final. In the days leading up to match day -1, the training sessions that we had after the open media day, to be ready to be here today. We know that every match is different. We've tried to really look at every last detail with a great deal of hard work, just as Nicolò Barella and Lautaro Martinez have said. And touch wood, we've still got the final training session this evening. It looks like everyone is available for selection. And over the course of 59 matches this season, I think I've only had a full 23-man squad to pick from on 3 occasions, as I do tomorrow. So there's a lot of confidence for a head coach to have everyone to pick from. That's all you can ask as a gaffer. You know that you can count on anyone. You know that all of these players are into players, that they have been chosen with the club, the senior management. I'm pleased about that.
All right, so you heard from the 2 managers. First, Luis Enrique, the Paris Saint-Germain manager who won the competition some 10 years ago with Barcelona, doing the treble for only the 2nd time in Barcelona's history. And then the man who, in 2023, led Inter to the final of the UEFA Champions League, losing out to Manchester City. And I'm talking here about Simone Inzaghi. Since then, he's added 1 Coppa Italia. He's added 2 more Serie A titles to his name. But tonight's could cement his legacy as an all-time great for Inter Milan, or he could be just another very good coach that Inter have got. Sicho, have we been fair to Inter in our assessment? Because everyone seems to focus so much on the attacking prowess of PSG, completely neglecting the fact that Inter essentially went to war with Barca in what was a shootout, and they outshot Barcelona.
Yes, is the team that has Inter Milan is a team that has already gone behind for 16 minutes in the entire Champions League. They deserve a lot of credit, but there's a subconscious bias towards PSG because of how pleasing they are to watch. They are not more pleasing to watch than Inter Milan because of the flamboyance of Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, just how they do it, Vitinha, the boys in the middle of the park. So they are pleasing to watch. So everybody's like, PSG are great to watch. And Inter Milan are like the team that grinds to get results. So there are those perceptions. But I think that even PSG themselves will know that Inter are no slouch. They can't just breeze past them easily. It's going to be a very, very tough game. And Luis Enrique would come into the game knowing that Inter have got the arsenals to hurt them. So yeah, it sets up for what would be a captivating final. 2 teams who play contrasting style of football. Anytime that Inter has got the ball, you expect something different. Anytime PSG have got the ball, you expect something different. I think that is what is going to make this final a lot more captivating. I can't wait for it to start.
Right. Before we get into the conversation, though, I'm going to go around the table, and ask each of you, are these the 2 best performing teams in the Champions League? Is the final going to feature the best 2 teams in Europe at the moment? Echo.
For PSG, yes. I'm not quite sure about Inter. Of course, I think in the group phase they had a very, very wonderful group phase games. I think they considered against before the Barcelona. Cricket scholar. I think they considered against Bayer Leverkusen in the group phase, and I think they went all the way, and they were not conceding goals in the group phase throughout the knockout phases. But then I think that for PSG, we've seen what they can give us. And I think they turned their season around against Manchester.
Why are you not convinced that Inter deserve to be here?
That's one I made mention that I'm not quite sure of Inter.
Why is that?
Because I think that they have a very good team, but honestly, they've not really impressed me. No disrespect to Sicho. No disrespect. I know. Yesterday I listened to game plan, and then he was here waxing lyrical. Yeah, so I'm saying that. Yes. Yeah. So I'm saying the point I'm making is that. I really fancy PSG, but not that of Inter.
I'm not asking.
Yes, of PSG. You are asking of Inter, and I'm saying that.
Wait. I'm not asking which of the 2 teams is better. I asked that, are we having the 2 best teams in Europe in the final, in the context of this season's Champions League? And he said for Inter, you are sure.
No, I said
for PSG, you are sure, but Inter, why?
I'm not quite sure.
And I said, why?
Yeah, because for me, I think it's because of how they play. Okay, I don't really fancy how they play.
Okay, let me ask the question in a much simpler, different manner. Which team would have been more deserving of a slot in the final as PSG's opponent than Inter?
I think Barcelona. I believe Barcelona. And I think they were just unlucky against Inter. Yeah, because if you watch both leagues, I believe that Inter proved superior. But I believe that with how Barcelona play and how they go about trying to play and all, I think that they deserve it. For Inter, I think that they use much more of experience, to beat Barcelona in the return leg. So for me, for Inter, no disrespect, but I believe that
Barca
should have been there. Honestly.
Messiah, are these the 2?
I think both teams deserve to be there.
Right.
PSG and Inter Milan, they've worked well, they've worked their way. They did what they do best, and they are where they are.
They won the games. Sichu.
Yes, I think we've seen. Am I on the same question?
Yeah,
you've got another question?
It's the same. No.
I think we have seen the two of the best teams in Europe. Inter Milan in the group stages were superior. They were dominant. Then they had to take away Bayern Munich. They had to take away Barcelona. There's no way you go through the hassle of Inter Milan and get to the final and not be deserving. PSG themselves took away all the English top dogs, took out Arsenal, took out Liverpool, took out Aston Villa. They had to beat Man City in that league phase. So I think the two teams have deserved to be here. To be honest, the two teams they faced in the semis have also made the final. You can have said the same about them. You can have said Barca deserved to be there, Arsenal deserved to be there.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I think Inter and PSG have deserved to be here.
Now, Essential, what makes Inter so good?
Oh, I love that question. All right, so there are a couple of things that makes Inter very difficult to beat for teams in Europe. Firstly, it's the way football is being played more recently. The football has moved into a phase where a lot of defenders are very comfortable defending three attackers, so the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1 or the one centre forward. But what the problems Inter presents to teams is the two strikers that they operate with. So when you saw them against Bayern Munich, especially in the first league, they struggled to cope with it. And even in the game against Barcelona in the second leg, they struggled to deal with, one big striker holding up, the other one making runs, and others making runs of them. So they thrive in those scenarios. And they are impeccably good at set pieces. When they swing those balls out, they've got big frames going to latch onto the balls. Goalkeeper can't come out and claim it. So Inter Milan are difficult to beat in aspects of the game. More so, they are an experienced group of players who have been here before and not done it. They've learned lessons from it. They know what to do. They understand the gamesmanship. They know how to win the 50-50 fouls to themselves. They know how to delay games and frustrate opponents. But even more importantly, it is how the coach instructs the team to play. Because when Inter Milan plays, they have a way of moving the opponent into zones where the opponent won't be comfortable without the opponent knowing, because their build-up phases are crazy. Çalhanoğlu will go deep to help him build up, and Bastoni or Bisek will push further up the pitch. Dumfries is one moment defending, the other time assisting or scoring. DiMarco can create problems for you. So it's Inter Milan is a team that has no one, even though Lautaro is a superstar, it is a team that has no one real superstar who leads the team as in the Messis, the Ronaldos, or when you talk of Lamine Yamal or Rafinha for Barcelona. It's a collective unit, and I think it makes them incredibly dangerous. And when they have to suffer it, they can suffer it. They have patience enough to understand that they'll sit in tight and deep and defend. But when they've got the ball, how quick they are on transitions can be devastating for opponents. So yeah, Inter can be very dangerous when they come up against anybody. And let's not underestimate Inter Milan. When they really want to play and they really want to keep possession, it doesn't matter that they're playing. We saw them in the final against Man City.
Yeah.
We saw them in the first half against Barcelona when they were not tired and when they were fresh. When they wanted to keep the ball, Barca couldn't necessarily dominate them. So they've got that in their locker as well. So yeah, let's see what they bring up tonight.
One other thing that Sicho did not expand on is just how devastating they are from set pieces. And especially, and Sicho, I'll come to you so you explain how unique their approach to set pieces are. Because this season in the Serie A alone, they have converted 30 or 32.9% of the goals they've scored are from set pieces.
Yeah,
32.
absolutely.
And then in the Champions League, 4 of their last 9 goals in the Champions League have come from. That's why I am 1,000,000% sure that if Inter are going to win this today, one of those goals will be from set pieces. But Sisho, how did they go about this and the outswingers? Because there are many teams in Europe who do it with an outswinger, but without necessarily having any outrageously tall players. Inter are very efficient at that. How do they do it?
So as you mentioned, Inter Milan, when they are taking their set pieces, take outswingers. I mean, for the purpose of education, an outswinging set piece is a set piece where the crosser of the ball is curling the ball away from the goalkeeper's reach rather than curling the ball towards the goalkeeper's reach or towards the goal. So it's curling the ball away from goal instead of curling the ball towards goal. So when you watch the way Arsenal take their set pieces, Arsenal take it with they don't outswing, they in-swing it. So they take it towards the goalkeeper and then leave the crossbar. So against PSG, when Arsenal played against PSG,
Yeah.
they were swinging a lot of the in-swingers. So Donnarumma could come and fist it. He would get under the bar. He would punch it over the bar. But when you play against Inter Milan, Calhanoglu or Di Marco will take the ball away from the goal. So goalkeeper has little chance of coming to claim it. Or if he tries to claim it, most of the time they miss it. But more importantly for the players in their positioning, when Inter Milan got a set piece, you've got too many players to think about. You've got Thuram, who's a big lad to think about. You've got Acerbi, who's a big lad to think about. You've got Bisek, who's a big lad to think about. You've got Bastoni, who's a big lad to think about. So all of a sudden, you've got about 4 or 5 big frames. And Lautaro Martinez, who's not the biggest of players, is also very devastating with area balls. So you've got a lot of good headers of the ball in that Inter Milan team. So what they do is, they've got one big frame on the near post. They've got 2 big frames in the middle. And they've got another big frame at the far post. And they've always got one player who is trying to attack the ball from the D. So when the ball is swung in, depending upon the zone where the ball lands, they've always got one big frame. If it's going to the near post, there's a big frame there. If it's going to the middle, there are 2 big frames. If it's going to the far post, there's a big frame. And if the ball is hanging in the air, they've got a runner from the D who can come and latch onto the ball and score. So you've got a lot of defending to do. You've got a lot of zoning to do when you're defending set piece against Inter. It is why they are troublesome, dangerous, and devastating with set pieces. And to wrap it all up, they've got some of the best crosses of the ball from set pieces. Di Marco and Hakan Calhanoglu.
You're live on Joy 99.7 FM. This is the Joy Sports Link, live on every Saturday from 1:15 to 2 p.m. Today just happens to be the 31st of May, and you know, on the final footballing day of the European calendar, there's only one event that the entire country is looking forward to, and that is the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey event. It's happening at the Aviation Social Center. This morning, one of the callers on the Joy Prime Sports Extra was confusing the Airport Social Center for the one at Medina. We beg you, no. All of you, come to the Aviation Social Center. I'm told the games have already started. The pool, table tennis, the 5-a-side football competitions, and so much to enjoy, so much to witness at the Aviation Social Center. Come there with the kids, come there with the family and your friends, and let's have fun. Later in the day, somewhere at night, we're going to have the final of the quiz competition before the football itself starts between Inter and PSG. Speaking of which, Michael, Sijo has spoken extensively about why Inter are so good, but they are coming up against a PSG team who have perhaps gone through the biggest makeover that I have seen in European football. Look, the difference, the chasm between what they were from August to November and what they have been from December till now is just worlds apart. What makes this PSG team so special? But before you answer that, what changed? What changed? I mean, from the PSG team that Arsenal were beating, that everyone says they are without Mbappe, the team is no longer as good, to the team that we have seen from December up until now. What changed?
I think they've actually prioritized teamwork over every single individual within the team. So whenever you play PSG, you are playing a team. You are not playing against Mbappe. You are not playing against Messi. You are not playing against Neymar. And I think that has really worked the magic for them. And if you look at Luis Enrique and what he has actually done for this team within a short period of time, or even starting from last season where things were not actually clicking, and this time around doing the first half of the league phase of the UEFA Champions League, they were struggling. You would understand that 3 things were key to the system: passing, precision, and possession. And I think these things, whenever you play for Luis Enrique team, you are supposed to be doing some of these things to make sure that in possession you are decent, in attacking and trying to locate your men, the precision is just on point, and you need to keep the ball so well by passing among yourselves. So you look at his team, even at the World Cup against Morocco, they passed a lot, they dominated possession. A lot of these things were happening, but the cutting edge was not there. So you look at what they have to offer us tonight. You are not going to see a PSG team that is so much into passing, precision, and dominating in the long run, but trying to adapt to every single kind of attack Inter Milan is going to bring in.
Right.
The reason why I'm saying that is against Manchester City, sometimes they left the possession for Manchester City. Just move with quick transitions through your wingers and try and get your goal. Against Liverpool at some point in the game, we saw that. Against Arsenal, at some point, they left the possession to Arsenal and they did the rest in trying to get behind the defensive lines of Arsenal and try and create enough. And Ousmane Dembele has been a key component in whatever that they do, especially when they are trying to attack. Actually drifting into the middle of the park, dragging your centre backs, leaving a hole behind him so that the other players are actually going to occupy those zones and try and create for him. All of these things will need to be monitored by Inter Milan getting into this particular fixture against Luis Enrique's PSG. And when they isolate your fullbacks in 1v1 situations to be ready for trouble, because these guys are so good that Desire Due and Kivicha Paraskeva will find a way and dribble you and create a chance for Ousmane Dembele to get the ball at the back of the net. I think today is going to be a game of different halves. First half differently, second half differently. And I think it's going to be based on the fact that these two teams are adaptive enough to understand when to attack, when to defend, when to score, and when to try and get things over the line. This was something that Barcelona was lacking at some point in time. They knew when to score, they knew when to come back, but getting games over the line was where the problem lies. And that is why they suffered against Inter Milan in the long run. But for these two teams, they've proven it in the games that we've actually watched. Against Aston Villa, against Liverpool, against Arsenal, we saw how Paris Saint-Germain needed to get things over the line. And we saw how important Gianluigi Donnarumma was in this setup. And I think today, he's also going to be a key component if PSG is going to win the game. He has been superb. I think Inter Milan can do a lot, but if they can't get the ball at the back of the net, it's also going to be another problem. Let's not forget that he's from AC Milan, and he will be wishing that he does something against Inter Milan this evening. There are a lot of things that are attached to this game that makes me feel that tactics are going to play their part, but the history and the moment of this competition will also have a part to play. I saw a certain statistic today and I was really shocked.
Yeah.
That Inter Milan, this is their 7th final. They've actually played 6 finals.
Yeah.
They've won 3 and they've lost 3. The 3 that they lost against teams that were on their way to win the treble. And I was really shocked because against Celtic, back in 66, 67, Celtic had already won the league. They had won the Scottish Cup. They had won the League Cup before they played against Inter Milan. And in 71, 72, the same thing happened against Ajax Amsterdam. Ajax had already won the league, won the Dutch Cup, and they were heading into the European Cup final against Inter Milan. They won. And Manchester City had already won the league, the FA Cup, going into the final against Inter Milan. It's quite funny that Inter Milan, whenever they have to play a Champions League final, it's against teams that are actually vying for the treble that season. It becomes a problem for them. So these are things I'm really looking out for. And the last time a French team actually won the Champions League, they played against a Milan club. That was Olympique Marseille and AC Milan. But this time around, it's Paris Saint-Germain and Inter Milan. It's interesting to see how some of these things will play out tonight in the game.
Now, Akome, talk to me about PSG's potential protagonist for this one. Obviously, Dembele is one name that you cannot look beyond. Visha Kvaratskhelia as well is another. But who are the guys who you think can or will determine tonight's game?
I think 2 players are going to determine the game tonight. One, Ousmane Dembele. 2, Gianluigi Donnarumma. If Donnarumma continues to give us the performances we saw from him against Aston Villa, Liverpool, and Arsenal, Inter Milan will be in trouble today. And I think Ousmane Dembele's movement at the front line becomes a problem for every single defender, especially if you want to follow him and track him and prevent him from getting the ball. You are always going to leave a space in behind, which is actually going to cause you a lot of trouble whenever PSG try and move the ball to the wings and you need to turn back and try and cover that particular hole that you left over there. I think these 2 players, they have been the key component for Paris Saint-Germain in their system and what they want to do in terms of getting games over the line. For Donnarumma, I think he has actually improved when it comes to his reflexes how he positions himself, especially in getting saves here and there. And even in the set pieces, he's actually going to be one key player that could help Paris Saint-Germain overcome such difficulties, looking at his height and how he's supposed to come out most of the time to try and help Paris Saint-Germain get these particular kind of chances over the line, not to concede anyway, anyhow, to corner kicks. But when you look at Ousmane Dembele, he is supposed to be the one that is going to help Paris Saint-Germain create a lot of chances with his movement and intelligence of the ball. That is where Francesco Acerbi, Bastoni, Jan Bisek, they will need to be very careful. I know Acerbi is going to be the one who's going to be on him. Bastoni will be much more focused on either Desire or trying to complement the likes of DiMarco on the other part of the pitch. The same with Bisek and Dumfries. But for Francesco Acerbi, he is going to be on Ousmane Dembele, and he would need so much experience today to make sure that he doesn't leave so much spaces for Ousmane Dembele to capitalize on and score, especially from cutbacks or even shot across.
Okay. Akumi, think about this for me, yeah? What are the scenarios that PSG need to worry about, the threats that Inter pose to them, right, and how they can deal with those? Think about that. Sisho as well, think about the scenarios that could be devastating for Inter Milan, the threats that PSG will pose to them. Think about that. While I go to Samuel Ekwamoisi for his views on what he expects to happen tonight.
Well, I think Sicho and Akumi, they have said a lot, but for me, I think it's straightforward for me. I think we are going to witness a very tight game. I believe that it's going to be more of like youth versus experience, because if you look at PSG, I think you take out Donnarumma, you take out Marquinhos, the rest, and then probably, Fabian Ruiz, the rest of the lads in there are very, very young. For Inter Milan, Sicho have expanded a lot more about what they can do and all that. But, actually, I think there is something that I have personally noticed about this PSG side, that once games that you feel that they will not be able to win, that is when they turn up and then they show up what they are made of, and then they can win. But I believe that they are coming up against an opposition that are very, very tough and very difficult to play against. But I believe that if you take out the defense of PSG, I think the game is going to be won from the midfield to the final third, because those three-man midfield in there, Fabian Ruiz, João Neves, and Vitinha, I think, and then the front line, whether Dembele, Bracola, and Doué or Kvaratskhelia, or any of those two guys will start. I think from the midfield to the final third, they are capable of hurting any opposition. And so for me, for Inter, Sicho have expanded on them. 5-man midfield, Dumfries, DiMarco or Augusto will want to expand the field more and allow those Barella, Çalhanoğlu and then Mkhitaryan to operate in between the midfield and all. But I believe that those three guys in the PSG midfield, I think they want to keep the ball. They want to draw you closer and then catch you on a counter. But the defense, I believe that they are more experienced. But those three guys up, the front line of PSG, I think that's where I believe that we are going to witness a very, very, tight game, because those three defenders of Inter are not very, very, very difficult to play against. But they are coming up. Front three players that are also very, very sharp on the attack. When PSG break the attack, they are very, very quick on the attack. And my worry is that when PSG break their attack and then they are on the counter, how those three-man midfield, defense can stop that attack, because we saw it against Man City, we saw it against Arsenal, we saw it against Liverpool. When they were not able to stand. We saw it against Aston Villa as well, even though in the game against the Villa Park they lost. But I believe that we are going to witness a very, very tight game. But I believe that it's going to be a midfield game, and that's why I'm not sure of a cricket scoreline. Because let me tell you something funny. Yesterday, when I was listening to game plan, when I got home, I listened to what Sicho said. But there is something I believe that most people are not looking up to. This PSG side, I believe that they are good enough to beat any opposition. And with Akumi made mention of something. They are also aiming at winning a treble. Prior to the Champions League final, we're talking about Inter Milan, who were also
in their case.
In the midst of also winning a treble, and they've lost two already.
In their case, it's their quadruple.
Yeah, okay, But I believe that this time around, it's unfortunate, but I believe that this is the time for PSG. If they lose it out, I don't know when they can come close again. And I believe that they can do it this time around because they have a manager who has done it before. They have a manager who can inspire them on how to go about to do it. They are facing a very tough opposition, but actually I think that this PSG side are so good enough to head any opposition.
Okay. We have to wrap up in the next 3 minutes, so let's be quick about this one. Akomia? Yes. The same question that I said you should think about.
Okay.
Yes,
I think PSG will need to be careful about two things from Inter. One, Inter Milan's build-up, especially when they decide to go long with Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram, either of them being the receiver of the ball. Whenever they go long like that, you need to be very careful about the runners, especially DiMarco and Dumfries. They do it to Barcelona. They'll be ready to do it against Paris Saint-Germain, especially when they know Paris Saint-Germain will trust them up high the pitch. Then number 2, set pieces. I think Situ has actually explained. It just took me back to the game against Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And I just watched the goal that Benjamin Pavard scored. You saw Acerbi moving to the front post, Bastoni moving there too. Then where from Pavard, just behind Bastoni, then he gets the goal. I think these are 2 things PSG will need to be very careful of. If they allow the balls to get to Lautaro or Marcus Thuram from the build-up face, long balls, and they are able to keep the ball, trust me, Dumfries and DiMarco will be on the field run.
Who wins this?
PSG.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michael. Sicho, get the final word on this for me on
which one?
On the potential banana peels for Inter, where PSG can trouble them.
No, I think one of the things that Inter Milan must stop is allowing Dembele to drop into those center circles without anybody being an inch close to him. Because if Dembele receives the ball in the half turn and he has the pitch open to him, he can be a problem. Devastating. It could be very devastating. And he's very, very productive these days, and his end products are assured a lot more.
Yeah.
The other thing too would be to, as much as possible, avoid leaving Kvaratskhelia and Bisek or Dumfries on 1v1 because he could eat them really well. And more so, Inter Milan must not do what they did against Barca, where when their midfielders got the ball, they were in a haste. When they get the ball, they should play because they are capable of playing. But the positive thing for Inter is Inzaghi has managed to rest almost all his players in the last 3 weeks. They are well rested. They didn't play enough of the last couple of games. They are well rested coming into this game, so that could be red for them. But ultimately, it's a game of very fine margins. It could go Inter's way, it could go PSG's way. I back Inter to win this one, but Dembele is crucial, Kvaratskhelia is crucial. But one thing that, again, Inter need to keep an eye on is where Nuno Mensch and Hakimi will be ending their runs once they start overlapping. Will they underlap? Will they overlap? Who's going to take care of them when they underlap into the box? Who is going to take care of the wingers when they overlap onto the wide areas? A lot of chess game tonight in the Champions League game between 2 very experienced and very good tacticians, Inzaghi and Enrique. I fancy Inzaghi.
Inzaghi, yeah? So 2 of the guys in the studio are going for PSG. Sami says PSG, Akomia says PSG, Sicho says Inter.
The PSG people know, they are using history. They are like those who are saying that every time a Pope dies, an English club wins.
Don't mind
the
them.
champion. The PSG people are using treble when Inter are going, someone is going to win treble. Inter are not able to kill her. No 2 seasons are the same. International.
Thank you very much, guys, for joining us on Sports Link. And to all of you who joined to listen to the show, thank you. From here, we're all moving to the Aviation Social Center at airports. Aviation Social Center, airport area. For the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey, proudly brought to you by Soccerbet TCL and DSTV. Come there with your family, come there with your friends, and let's have fun. Let's enjoy the table tennis. Let's enjoy the football five-a-side, pool, and all of the other events that we will be, or the side games that we will be having at the Aviation Social Center. And then, of course, at 5 p.m. we'll bring you the quiz, the final of the quiz competition, Champions League themed quiz. Every question that is going to be asked there, is related to the UEFA Champions League before the game itself. Thank you for joining. My name is Victor Atsu Tamakloe. See you.